All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us at the Metro Region for PMI Metro lineup. Our Metro Region includes Charlotte, Valentine, and University. These used to be in-person meetings, now we're all virtual. Tonight, we are presenting social media for career management, which is super important, especially now, as I don't know if you guys have seen, but there is a lot of movement in the market right now. So this is perfect timing for Rich to present to us tonight. As always, please mute your mic unless you want to participate in the conversation. Sometimes the speaker will ask for participation. Feel free to come off mute during that time. Otherwise, we don't want to hear you washing dishes in the background. Feel free to use the chat function instead. And as a note for our virtual meetings for 2021, these will all be recorded and available on demand as long as you have pre-registered. So if you decide 3 weeks from now that you want to see something that you didn't register for, we can't give you that link because some of the links are only up for a specific period of time, depending on our agreement with our speaker and presenter. But if you pre-register, then you will get an email a couple of days after the meeting that says, here's the link to the recording. That way, if for any reason you couldn't make it last minute to the meeting, you can go and review the recording. And then you can self-report those PDUs because you do only get PDUs if you're here and we have your full name. So brings me into our next subject. If your full name isn't showing on the participant list, feel free to hover over your name. There's a more button that is blue. It looks kind of square, and that will have a rename function, and you can put in your first and last name as is registered with PMI Metrolina. That way we know you've attended. Tonight's agenda, we will have our social media and career management, Rich Sauser, and including, as always, our breakout session. And please stick around to the very end because we do have our chapter updates and upcoming meetings, including PDD, which is coming up in September. And as always, our meeting poll so that you can tell us how we can improve these meetings if there's something that you would like to see us do better. And because we do have a loaded content tonight, we got a lot of stuff to go over. There's a lot of good stuff coming up. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Rich Sauser, is our current PMI Metrolina VP of Marketing. So this is a personal welcome to Rich tonight. We're so excited to have you. I've seen him do some other similar meetings, presentations before, and they're absolutely fantastic and are loaded with good content. So Rich, we welcome you tonight, and I'll quit sharing so that you can share.
Okay. Are we ready to rumble?
All right.
You see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And for those who are impatient, you can take a snapshot of that QR code in the bottom left-hand corner right now, and you will get a link to tonight's presentation. I think Anna is also going to present a link in the chat for a top 5 cheat sheet. Basically, I'm in a program called Strenuous Life, and I created I'll say a merit badge for that program on career management. So some of the top tips are in that session, that document. So tonight's agenda, I think we're going to start with personal branding because that kind of builds into everything else. It'll build into your resume, networking, and social media. From there, we want to make a little disclaimer saying the internet was used as a source. A lot of this information is subject to people's personal opinions, experiences. So you can probably do a Google search on any of these topics in tonight's meeting and find out things that contradict it or whatever. But this is based on my experience of working like 10 or 12 years with recruiters and getting feedback from people along the lines as well. So just going from there. And we are going to be, this is a fast-paced presentation. So I'm aware of that. We cover a lot of material. You will get a copy of the deck with a lot of links in there, and we'll go from there. But why social media? I think everybody's aware, that's the #1 place to find jobs right now to manage your career. Whether you're going internal, external to your firm, I sometimes go out to LinkedIn to find people to connect with inside my own company. Recruiters, you can find different slides out there, whether it be LinkedIn to 89%, Facebook 26%. You'll find slides out there that say Facebook is doing more. I find it hard to believe, but anyways, that's where a lot of recruiters and hiring managers are looking for candidates. 92% of recruiters using it to identify top talent, and 57% have also found content that would cause cause them not to hire candidates. So you may be thinking, hey, is it okay if I'm invisible? I'm not going to go on social media because that way I don't have to worry about them finding anything bad about me. And that's not a good solution either, because 47% of employers say if they can't find somebody online, they're less likely to call that person for an interview. As you think about what you're doing on social media, you want to be careful about, I know CBD and smoking marijuana for recreational purposes is getting a little bit more acceptable. I would still avoid it. Same thing with political rants, alcohol consumption. And once again, a red flag is if you have a limited social media presence. Back in the old days, each social media platform kind of had its unique personality, right? LinkedIn was business, Facebook was social, Instagram was social, Twitter was social, and it's kind of all morphed, right? So we're going to cover tonight. LinkedIn is still the #1 site to go to for managing your career. Facebook is trying to be competitive with LinkedIn. We'll cover that a little bit later on. More companies are recruiting off of Instagram and posting jobs on there as well, along with Twitter and yes, Pinterest. And tonight we'll also be covering TikTok. So yay, all you TikTok fans out there. But the first thing you need to do is talk about your personal brand. And when you think about applying for jobs, 75 to 98% job seekers are eliminated in initial screening. And if you're not familiar with the concept of personal branding, it's really how you distinguish yourself and how you market yourselves to others. As Dan Schweibel says in Me 2.0, which is kind of a personal branding book as well, each and every one of us has a brand because we are constantly being judged based on first impressions. And those first impressions are usually within 30 seconds to a minute, if that long. Once again, we kind of talked about this slide with recruiters, 77% on LinkedIn, 63% on Facebook. And you always find stats out there can contradict that as well. But on the average job, they have 250 candidates per position. Out of those, 4 to 6 will be interviewed and only 1 gets the job offer. So what we're going to talk about a little bit tonight is how, as you being that one person, do you distinguish yourself from the other 250 candidates? And that's where personal branding comes into play. And the reason we start out with personal branding is because once you figure out your personal brand, it's easier to put it into your resume, LinkedIn, and the other social media sites. You may be asking, Rich, how do we develop a personal brand? Well, this link is out there. You can see it on the bottom. It's the ultimate guide to creating a personal brand. And I chose this one because it was kind of 7 steps that just happened to kind of go along with the way I do my presentation. So step 1 is figure out who you are and what you want to accomplish. Step 2 is determine your unique value proposition. Step 3 is define your audience. Who do you want to talk to? And as you think about that, you may have multiple audiences. Some may know who a project manager is. Some may not have a clue what project managers do. Optimize your personal website and social media profiles. Develop your content strategy. Constantly add value to your audience and build a community. So the first thing we want to talk about is who are you? There are resources out there called like a career management document or a master resume. This is where you put all your cheat sheets and cheat notes for your resume. So like a traditional resume, you'll have 3 to 5 bullets. On your career management document or a master resume, you can cover half a page for position for a role. And what you want to do is you want to put all your notes in there about that role and all your key accomplishments. Also include your key failures and what you learned from them, because that is an excellent interview question of, tell me about time something failed miserably and what did you learn from it? And what's going to be nice about this is as you change your career or change which jobs you're applying for, you can take the various bullets out of your master resume or career management document and update your resume easily for those roles you're applying for. And you can update it quarterly, update it monthly. At minimum, update it twice a year in conjunction with your annual performance reviews. If you want more information about the career management document, there's 3 links on the bottom of the slide that will walk you through it. You'll see Manager Tools. I love those guys. They're great podcasts, and they have great documentation out there as well. When you think about your personal brand, it's your unique value proposition. So if you go to LinkedIn and do a search on project manager within Charlotte Metro, you'll find there's 45,000 results. So as you think about your career, that's really your competition. How are you distinguishing yourself from 45,000 other people in the Charlotte Metro area that say project management is their job? Things you want to talk about, like on the bottom box, why would somebody hire you over those other candidates? How are you first, only, faster, better, cheaper? And what are you doing different or that's hard to come by? And so those are some of the questions you need to think about in your personal branding. Also, as Stephen Covey would often say, begin with the end in mind, right? So as you think about your master resume and what words you want to put on there, you want to look at what jobs are out there now. And so if you were looking for a Agile or Scrum job, basically go out to a word cloud site and word it out as one as well. Take 3 or 4 job descriptions, dump them in there, and then narrow it down to 10 or 15 prominent words. And those are the kind of words that you want to make sure you're including in your resume and in your LinkedIn profile. So when those people start searching for those keywords, they'll find you. PMI also offers a couple sites for project managers and personal branding. So there's 2 good articles out there that walk you through this in detail of personal branding for project managers. We're not going to walk through these, but there'll be references for you to go later on. Also, what you want to do on your personal brand is see how you look on Google or Bing or whatever your favorite search engine is. Typically, you want to cover the first 3 pages of results with information that's relevant to you and your personal brand. Also, if you are having issues on your brand or results are popping up that you wish people wouldn't find, there are companies out there that will help you repair your reputation. Lots of these companies will charge you a small fee from $3,000 to $8,000. But there are free tools out there where you don't have to pay that. So one is Brand Yourself. You go to brandyourself.com and it will search the internet. And if you give it access to your social media accounts, it will also search your social media profile as well. You can see this is kind of nice to do anyway, just like monitoring your credit report, because you can see on this case, I had 25 instances of exposed private information. Some of my information was on the dark web, which is not where you want to be found. But then also on the right side, you can see I gave it access to my Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn accounts as well. And it said 0 is flagged. I will confess there was one time I had a flagged post about going to the farmer's market, coming back with fresh stuff and couldn't wait to have a good margarita with my fajitas. And it said, danger, Rich, you're talking about alcohol on social media. Brand Yourself, I mean, the basic is free, but they do have, if you have additional issues, they will have fees for that as well. But I'm not necessarily endorsing Brand Yourself. I'm just saying it's one of many tools out there where you can help improve your reputation or monitor your reputation online as well. Speaking of your reputation, let's go down a little rabbit hole quickly. As you think about certificates, certifications, everything else, skill assessments are coming into play. So LinkedIn, since they're owned by Microsoft, kind of features some of those. So if you take some of these skilled assessments on LinkedIn on Excel or Microsoft Project or whatever software you're using, they say you're 30% more likely to get hired, you know. And also Indeed also says that. They say 82% of companies are using some form of pre-employment assessment test. So just keep in mind there's ways to do that. Take some tests. The downside of this is if you fail a test on like the LinkedIn skill assessment, I think you have to wait like 3 months before you can take it again. So study up. Coming out of the rabbit hole. If you are new to this whole thing about personal branding and figuring out what's going on, LinkedIn has a little tool. It's called your social selling index. Now, we're not in sales, we're in project management, but if you want to set a baseline as to where you're at on social media and your personal brand, this is a nice little tool to go. So it'll give you 4 components: establishing your professional brand, finding the right people, engaging with insights, and building relationships. And you're like, hey, Rich, that's great. You said 4 key things. I have no idea what they are, but wait, LinkedIn has got an answer for you. So the link on the bottom of this page will give you brief videos on each one of those topics and figuring out how to establish your personal brand with LinkedIn, finding the right people, building your network, engaging with insights, and building relationships. Email domains are part of your brand as well. So if you do not have a professional email account for your job search or for managing your career, get one. You know, AOL, Yahoo, Hotmail, change them. I would get a Gmail account or your domain. Keep it first name last if you can, something professional. I worked with one candidate who started out with her Yahoo addresses. I love my 9 kittens at yahoo.com. I'm like, that's not the one you want to be putting on your resume. It's just a bad idea. Also, if you figure out which sites you want to use, and social media for your career management, you can reserve your domain or check which ones are out. So there's a website out there called NameCheck. Rather than me going to all the social media sites and seeing if Rich Sauser was available, I can just go to NameCheck, type in this name I want, and it'll tell me what sites it's available on. So I personally recommend having the same name on all your social media sites, because you may want to use them for career, maybe not, but it's just easier for people to find you. However, some people do not want to be found. They say, I'm going to do this on LinkedIn, but I don't want to have the same name on all these other social media sites. That's great. That's a personal preference. Also, if you have younger children in your family or distant family, you can go out there and check their names, and it's a great birthday present for them to have their names reserved. They won't understand what it is until they get older. When they get older, they'll appreciate you. So now that you got your personal brand, you know something about keywords, you know what you want to put into resumes. Let's talk about resumes for a bit. Hit the right key, going down. Typically, on a good day, a recruiter might spend 30 seconds on a resume. And this is all paper copy. We'll talk about LinkedIn a little bit. But you can see you really need to use effective use of white space. So as the studies have shown, on the left side, the person did not make effective use of white space. And it's very wordy, very hard to read. And the recruiter or hiring manager gave up about 2/3 of the way down. Where on the right side, the person actually used effective use of white space. And the recruiter was easy to read it, and they read it all the way down. If you want a good, humbling experience, give somebody you know or don't know your resume. Give them 30 seconds to review it and tell them to write down the top 3 things they caught on it. It is a humbling experience, but it'll give you an example of what people are reading on your resume. Okay, so this part we go interaction. On the left side of the screen, you'll see a sample resume. And feel free to shout out or put in the group chat things that are wrong with this resume. A couple of notes to think about. As you develop your personal brand, don't list everything you do at your current job in your resume. If you are a portfolio manager, project manager, and you're doing something that does not pertain to that in your current job, it does not need to go on your resume. If only 20% of your job pertains to project management, and that's the career you want, put that 20% on your resume and drop off everything else. When I came to Charlotte, I was foolish enough to pay somebody at Ladders like $500 to do my resume. They did not give me that coaching. And so I went to my first recruiter with my new resume, so excited. And they said, your resume stinks. I'm like, what are you talking about? It says, you're jack of all trades, master of none. And it was from that recruiter that I actually learned, don't put everything on your resume because it distracts, only put things on it. So that being said, does anybody have any thoughts, comments as to what is wrong with this resume? The crowd goes silent.
There's no numbers, like major responsibilities, sure, but where was the improvement? I've always been told that on resumes. Did you improve this process by 15%? Did you do this? Did you save the company millions of dollars? Did you run a $2 million program? Like, have some numbers and analytical data attached.
Absolutely. That goes right into the bottom right corner. Use the PARS method. Anytime you can put numbers in, it makes it very effective. It adds your credibility, and that helps distinguish your personal brand versus the 45,000 other project managers in the Charlotte area. Any other thoughts or comments? Quiet group tonight.
Under the skills, the bullet or the graphics, to me, they're looking at a resume, not I don't know. Just to me, it just doesn't seem professional to have the skills presented that way.
Yeah, that is correct. And especially in red. I mean, red usually has a negative connotation. Studies have come out, and recruiters I've talked to have also said, this is a popular format for some folks, but most recruiters don't like this because it gives you a bunch of words, but it doesn't tell you how good the person is or how they used it. So especially now keyword searches and those kind of things, recruiters would prefer that all those skills were listed in the bottom section of the resume and said how you used them, right? So excellent point. No career summary on the first page. That's a good one. It's some of the best practices are having 2 or 3 sentences on the top of your page explaining your summary in a nutshell. Formatting is weird. definitely weird. A lot of wasted space up at the top. The W adds no value whatsoever. Putting the field name attributes in front, like first name, last name, address. From This Resume Stinks podcast, which is the link is on the bottom, they say you're actually insulting your reader. If you think they can't figure out your first name, last name, and address and that kind of stuff, you just insulted your reader, right? So from Michelle, how far back should you go in your resume? Typical question is about 10 years. Most people think anything beyond 10 years is not relevant. If you want to put additional experience on, you could put other jobs include such as at the bottom, but 1 to 2 pages is the acceptable format. Yeah, 1/3 of the resume is used up incorrectly. And that is key because on some sites like Indeed or Career Builder and those kind of things, some recruiters only pay to see you can only see a preview of the top third or 20% of the page. And sometimes there's people who suggest in those formats, you don't even start out with your name and address. You start out with your summary first so they can see it, because some sites, the recruiters have to pay per click. So if they want to see your full resume, they have to pay for it. So you definitely want to make sure you are utilizing that top third very well. Yeah, the date's a bit weird to understand. So I agree. So anyways, for the format, I think you guys got the basics of it. Typically, the format used now is that first paragraph is your generic responsibility. You know, that doesn't have to be specific to your job or your brand. I mean, it has to be specific to your job. It doesn't have to be specific to your brand, but the accomplishments below is really where you put all your details and metrics. If you have a resume and you want to find out what a automated scoring system thinks of it, you can go out to ResScore. ResScore will give you an evaluation of your resume, a letter grade. And also, if you didn't get a good letter grade, will tell you what's bad about it. If it's too long, if the impact or depth. It will also give you, based on what you put in your resume, a guesstimate of what the salary is. ResScore is free, and they will not spam you with additional emails after that. The other tool that's out there, which is great, is if you found a job, whether it be internal at your own company or external, you can go to jobscan.co and upload the job requirements on half the page and upload your resume on the other half of the page. And it will tell you how well your resume matches that job. And the reason this is so key is because a lot of companies use what's called ATS, or the application tracking systems. And this is going to be the first pass of you not getting through to the hiring managers if the ATS kicks you out. So this was an actual job I applied for. I did get it, but it was more through the power of networking than my resume matching the actual job thing. So you can see that's where networking comes into play big later on. And speaking of networking, tips from Emily, things I get asked as a recruiter, what's the best way to get a job? Networking is key. And for folks who don't recognize this is from TikTok. Yes, Emily does a lot of job sharing tips on TikTok. She posts jobs available on TikTok. So TikTok is being used a bit more for job search. I know everybody on this call can't wait to go home and do their TikTok resumes. Oops, hang on. Sorry, I didn't want to get that one going. So anyways, as you think about networking, think about who you will network and why, and expand it out, right? So full LinkedIn search results are limited to those accounts which are the search's first, second, third level connections. So basically what that means in English is if you have a small network on LinkedIn, you're not going to be seen by a lot of people even doing searches. So you definitely want to expand your network to as much as you're comfortable with on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is really based on 6 degrees of separation, basically saying you are 6 degrees or 6 people away from anybody else you want to meet. Not that I'm getting into politics here, but I really found it interesting when I picked a celebrity that there were 170 people in my network that knew both Mr. Obama and myself. And I think that's really going into the power of networking. And you just never know who knows who. So it's a great thing to do. There's really a couple types of open network. There are a couple types of networking on LinkedIn. And actually, it's any type of networking. An open networker means you connect with anybody. And the challenges are, it's really hard to keep that network warm. I think I got like 5,000 or 6,000 connections on LinkedIn. I will say I don't keep in touch with all 6,000 on a regular basis, right? So if you're a closed networker on LinkedIn, you only connect with people you know, and it's easier to keep the network warm. My case in point is I met April Williams in Chicago, and she referred to herself as a networking goddess. And she knew I was trying to come from Chicago down to Charlotte to find a job. Well, she didn't know many people down here, but she had one connection named Greg. And so she goes, hey, Greg, can you help my buddy Rich out? He says, no, but my buddy John might be able to. Well, John was in Greenville, which was one of my target cities, and he took a couple hours out of his day to help me with my job search. And I'm like, if this is what open networking is about, paying it forward, sign me up. Since that time, I've realized being an open networker will get you a lot of invitations from Madonna and other people who are from India or other countries. You know, that's not the real name, So yeah. So I'm an open networker still, but I'm more selective about who I accept. And if you are interested in open networking, there are LinkedIn groups you can join where RB is an open networker, and you'll get lots of invitations to expand your network. And once again, we talk about 78% of recruiters get their best candidates by referral. So as you look to grow your career inside and out your organization, keep your network up to date and go for the referrals. And keep in mind, connections are not relationships, right? I said I had about 5,000 or 6,000 connections on LinkedIn. Those are not relationships. Some of these people I've never met, and it's definitely not a relationship friendship. And keep in mind, when you do the like button, you're not maintaining a relationship, whether it be on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever. Like buttons do not really help foster a relationship. What fosters a relationship is if you keep in touch with everybody every few months with your classmates or coworkers and that kind of stuff. So I'm not saying you do it for your whole network, but for those key connections, make sure you set up and regular time to stay in touch with those. Otherwise, when you need your network, it's not going to be there for you. Some rules for networking: be willing to ask for help, be willing to give help. Don't use your network only for job hunting. Keep in touch with your network contacts. And what I would suggest is, you're keeping in touch with your network contacts, just provide them some updates, or, hey, I found this article that's interesting for you. I will not ask them a lot of questions, because then what happens is it goes from being hey, this person was nice and thinking of me, to, gee, here's another email I have to reply to. And going back to Barney's basics, please and thank you. Those are the magic words. Another thing you can do is methods. Can you make your life easier for your contacts? Can you alert people to an opportunity? And I know at the end of this meeting, we're going to talk about some opportunities you might be able to help alert people to. Resources, can you offer something? And are you excited about something? So once again, if you have a warm introduction to a hiring manager or recruiter, your likelihood of success increases tenfold. 78% of recruiters said referrals help them find top talent. And anytime you can meet with somebody in person, I know with the whole pandemic and COVID, it's a little bit harder, but I have maintained stronger relationships when I met somebody for a cup of coffee than just doing the online thing. LinkedIn, I think some people have heard of this thing called social media on LinkedIn. It continues to be the #1 spot for professional career growth as well. People are signing up at more than 2 members per second. Unfortunately, what happened since LinkedIn started is a lot of people get confused and use LinkedIn a lot like they use Facebook and everything else. So there's a lot of, I'll say, non-career related posting going on, but it is what it is. So similar to what we talked about in resumes, recruiters only spend so much time out there as well. And, there's sites out there that will do reviews for you as well. But keep in mind, same kind of concept of your resume. If you want a humbling experience, have somebody look at your LinkedIn profile, give them 10 seconds to review it and tell them what they thought of it. It's depressing. It's kind of scary. LinkedIn has profile strength. So when you look at your profile, you'll see how you're rated. There's 5 levels: beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert, all-star. So an all-star profile contains your industry and location, an up-to-date current position with a description, 2 past positions, your education, where you're 17 times more likely to get messages from recruiters, your skills, a minimum of 3, a profile photo, 7 times more likely to be viewed. We'll talk about profile photos in a bit. At least 50 connections. I recommend at least 500 because it shows that you're active on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn does not show more than 500 connections. It says 500 plus. And skills, 5 or more, you're 17 times more likely to be viewed. And if you get the all-star status on your profile, you're more than 40 times likely to be contacted by recruiters and people who may be interested in talking to you. So it really pays to get the profile all-star. Melanie does a great infographic. If people aren't familiar with the word called infographic, it's really a graphic presentation of something that goes step by step and provides you information. So you can see number one, have a professionally designed cover photo. There is a tool out there. I don't think I have in this presentation, or maybe I do. That free tool for getting LinkedIn graphics for your headliner. So that's a nice one. A professional headshot coming up soon. Showing your teeth is key. You see Melanie shows her teeth with a big smile. Your name should only include your name should only include your name in this field. I take exception to that thing, especially in our profession where we have all these certifications. I put my certifications after my name. Number four, use your headline to capture your attention and also include keywords. So those keywords we did back in the personal branding section, that's where these come into play here as well. And this is where you put your brand, your elevator speech. I show business to business how to generate high quality leads on LinkedIn without spending a dollar on ads. You know, we're going to talk about this a bit more, some other real life examples. Similar to what I talked about on Indeed and Career Builder and those kind of sites, you really want to make your first part on number 5, make the first part of the summary section stand out, because that people might only see a glimpse of that. So you really want to make those first 3 sentences count. And number 6, you have 500 more connections. And if you go to Melanie's site, which is down at the bottom, she goes through the whole LinkedIn profile. I'm just doing the top portion to provide an overview of what she talks about. Headlines. So these are some of the keywords. You can see how we're using piping and information along that. So strategy, transformation, sales, digital marketing, change management, business development. These are all good things to do. They can also be your downfall. If you don't proofread them and look for typos and misspellings, if you have abbreviations or don't properly space out your dashes, it's not going to find you. So if like CFO, senior finance manager, may be doomed if it misspells manager, if it's abbreviated, slash with no spaces, pipe with no spaces, or dash with no spaces. So now that you got an idea of a good and bad headline, what's wrong with this headline? Either group chat or vocal chat. We do both on this. We're pretty good at that.
Spaces.
Spaces. We need stinking spaces.
Executive is spelled wrong.
There you go.
Payments is abbreviated. There's so many things.
Payments is spelled wrong.
So yeah, it's always key. And I will tell you from experience, even when I passed my resume out to 3 of my closest friends for review and proofing, after I sent it out for a job, I found something wrong. So it's always good to have somebody else proof it. It's not foolproof, but it's a good exercise. So, okay, we talked about smiling with teeth. If you are interested, photofeeler.com is a site at the bottom, and on to get ready for the survey coming up. Smiling with teeth. This person did a study and said, you know what, I used 2 profile pictures, and when I smile with teeth, I got much better responses than I did without teeth. If you want to see what people think of your LinkedIn profile picture, you can go out to photofeeler.com and have people vote on it. I thought the picture on the right was a good one for me. But apparently not everybody else thought so. So I redid the picture and ultimately ended up with the one on the left. And if you're on Tinder or any other social media sites, you upload your picture and say what are you using it for. So LinkedIn is one of the sites out there. PhotoFeeler also has a lot of great tips on how to take a good headshot. Somebody asked me, hey, Rich, if the one on the left is the best one, how come it's not on your LinkedIn profile? That is an excellent question. I have to find that picture and update my profile. Now we go to a real case study where you get the vote. So this person just contacted me this afternoon. They're a project manager out in California, said, Rich, I went up to photofeeler.com and people didn't vote on the picture I wanted them to. Which picture do you think would be the best one for my LinkedIn profile? So Anna, do we have a voting section up? Okay, so now take the poll and select which picture you think would be the best for LinkedIn.
Thank you for the musical effects, Rich.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we got Amy in the house. Woohoo! I guess if I vote, that'll help me. Okay, do we have votes in?
We do.
You want to share the votes?
Yep, I'm going to end the poll, guys, and share results.
Let me bring it over to my screen. One moment. So I have to take a picture because I told him I would. So if you ever want a personal critique of your social media pictures or LinkedIn resume, just let me know and I'll include it in my next presentation. So 65% said choice number 4. And I agree. I think, as I said, similar to resumes, anything that's not helping your professional brand as a project portfolio manager, scrum master, whatever you want, is going to be distracting you from it. So unless you're jogging or a marathon runner as a profession, I would probably skip number 1 and 5. Number 2, with the microphone, I know communication is key for project managers, but I don't view that person as a portfolio project manager. Number 3 is good, but I think number 4, even though it might be an older picture, is still the best one. If you want to know how to create a good LinkedIn profile, again, there are people who you can pay lots of money to create one for you. LinkedIn Makeover Lady does a great job. And even if you're not going to hire her, I mean, her site has so many phenomenal tips, free ebooks, and that kind of stuff. And if you see one, be inspired by it. Do not plagiarize. That is the worst thing you can do. Do not copy the work. Like I said, I paid somebody money to do my resume. I had my executive summary done. After doing one of my presentations, one of the participants literally copied my LinkedIn profile summary over to their page, and I was not flattered. But LinkedIn Makeover actually will tweet out all her resume samples. So if you go through here, you can find some project managers and see what she's doing for project managers. So case in point, Renzo. Now you notice he's not showing teeth in his picture. He's customized his headline a bit, but it's not great. He's a manager, project management, renewable energy leader. You know, it's saying. And then for these 3 sentences we said were so key. Business success is driven by excellence in products and what? You just put me to sleep already, right? So hopefully Renzo doesn't hear this. But yeah, so compare that to the next person, Suzanne, a dynamic project manager, innovative medical sales leader, strategic relationship builder, process improvement expert. And when you get down to her 3 sentences, my name is Suzanne Singer. Okay, well, that's kind of redundant, but I'm a results-driven professional who excels at creating that drive revenue growth. I mean, immediately it sounds a lot more impressive than business success is driven by. So think about your personal brand, and that's really your key selling points when I go in those first 3 sentences. Also, you know, Harvey did a good job here. He's a certified manager project professional, you know, certified scrum master and transformational IT project leadership. So LinkedIn Makeover did this one too. He's got a really nice background there, a nice corporate headshot, showing his teeth. And also he looks like he may be over 50. So if you are over 50 and wondering how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, you can go to thrivingat50plus.com, LinkedIn profile, older professionals, look here now, going fast, sell. So yeah, anyways, that link is in there if you are interested, if you're in the over 50 crowd and want to see how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. As we get into the about section, it's really talking about your executive summary, your elevator speech, your personal brand. And what I think sells best, a lot of sites will say this as well, is talk in first person. There, you can take classes on some of the other sites will say talk in third person. Most people see talking like third person sounds kind of pompous. So if I'm saying Rich Sauser builds relationships with executive level sponsors versus I think the I is nice, you know. And going back to the point made earlier during the critique of the resume, you can see where they kind of put the metrics in there, like rebuilt client trust and rescued a $100 million project, in Saudi Arabia. So having those metrics really helps you stand out. LinkedIn will also have new bells and whistles right now. So if you are out of practice on your interviews, you can go to LinkedIn, and this is still part of the free stuff. I mean, you can do like so much for free, but you can practice your interviews on LinkedIn. And then if you want to do sample answers and get expert feedback, you can do a premium account for free. Jobscan.co will also look at your LinkedIn profile and tell you what's good and bad about that. they only give you like so many attributes for free. Then after that, they want to charge you money. So, but at least gives you a head start of what a automatic scanning system thinks of your LinkedIn profile. Similarly on LinkedIn, if you want to expand your audience, as we talked about earlier on personal branding, it's defining your community. You can definitely find influencers and people to follow. And if you're good with hashtags, you can also do hashtags to show up in your daily feed on LinkedIn. And this is, once again, engaging your community. So doing the like buttons really doesn't build relationships, but if you add comments in there, it helps build your personal brand and relationships. Manage your visibility part 2 is LinkedIn will send you these notifications on a daily basis of, what's happening in other people's lives. So if you want to do one and commenting by clicking on the text, it appears on their timeline. That means everybody else will see it as well. If you click 2, say congrats, that sends a private message. So on the notifications, there's 2 ways of interacting. One will go on their profile page, the other one will go to them in a private message. If you're trying to be stuck as to what to share on your personal timeline, you could set up a Google News alert for any subject you want, and Google will send you a daily email with the latest news and topics. So you can pick one out and make a few personal comments on it on your LinkedIn profile, and that helps build your credibility. And studies have shown that people will like it and may even share it, but they may not actually read the link. So don't feel too nervous about doing this. Just pick something that's a little bit safe and you should be good. Another way of a LinkedIn to use for building your career is to follow companies. I follow companies I work for because it's a great way to see what the images that my company is trying to sell, as well as everything else. But also, when you follow companies on LinkedIn, some recruiters look at the followers on those companies, but you can also find out what the culture is like, or at least what they're trying to sell you on LinkedIn is the culture. So you can find about life, find about jobs, and it'll also show you who else you know that works at that company. And if you are in the job search outside of your current employer, or even at your current employer, you can find connections at your target company and then connect with them that way. What I typically find is, even if I'm looking at my current employer, is sometimes I want to find out people are working in departments, sometimes corporate directory works, sometimes it doesn't, but I'll reach out to them, look at their LinkedIn profile, and then set up an informational interview. And those informational interviews are so key in terms of finding out what the actual role is like, what the job is like, and those kind of things. On to this wonderful thing we call Facebook. So over 65% of companies are looking for candidates on Facebook. I know a lot of my target audience on these presentations is like, really? Ooh, I don't want to do that on Facebook. I got off of Facebook and stuff like that. And that's great. That's a personal decision for you. But 65% of the companies are looking for candidates on Facebook. You can also stay connected with your profession on Facebook as well. And hey, look, there's John, and we got more notes from John coming up later on today's presentation. But PMI Global has their Facebook page. And so based on what social media platform you're on, it's a great way to find out what's happening on the industry as well. A lot of companies also will have career pages. So if you want to find out more about the careers at a company, or find out more about the culture of the company, once again, make sure you're looking at their career pages on Facebook. Similar to LinkedIn, Facebook has a profile. You got your picture, your cover photo, your intro, your about, your work education, places you lived, contact and basic info. People say, do I have to have the same profile picture on all my social media sites? Some people say yes. I'm of the camp no, because I think all social media sites, for me at least, have a separate target audience. So I'm not going to use the same profile picture I use on LinkedIn, on Facebook. On the other hand, I'm not going to use my Facebook profile picture on LinkedIn. Some people say, but Rich, I don't want everybody in my company know what I'm doing. Well, you can change your privacy settings on Facebook so you can control who sees what. So if you create a target audience on Facebook that's only work employees or professional, you could only let them see certain posts as well. And this way, also, if you're posting about PMI stuff, which your family and friends really don't care about, you don't have to post it for them either. You can see my profile picture on 2 examples. One is the securities lockdown, where it's like a June 30th is an older post, and the other one's 7 hours current. So as you change your security settings on Facebook, different people will see different aspects of your profile. You can also use Facebook to prepare for an interview. Hannah Morgan, the job hunt, she's on Facebook. If you're not following her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, great law. She provides a ton of great information. So if you're looking to go to a new corporation, search for the company on Facebook. Let's see if they have careers, jobs, or inside the company pages or life of the company page. There could be employee alumni pages and groups. And you can look for employees who currently work for the employer and look for dirt about the company. And Facebook is trying to compete with LinkedIn. They're not doing a great job of it, but similar to how LinkedIn will show you who you know that works at that company, Facebook has that as well. A lot of companies have the Facebook pages out there to build their career pages or to show you what it's like to work there, right? So Lowe's has a career page, what they're doing. And it's just not usually about open jobs. They actually will feature people and talk about what it's like to work there. So if you want to see more about a company, what the culture is like, head out to Facebook. And as I said, here's like UPS. If you want to find friends to connect with UPS, Facebook actually interfaces with LinkedIn. And so you can do it that way as well. And UPS also has a job map, which is kind of interesting. So you can actually click on the map and find out where the jobs are at. But Facebook and the career pages have a lot of information out there. And yes, similar to LinkedIn, you can apply with your Facebook profile. But I'm just saying LinkedIn is still number one, but Facebook has a lot of good information out there as well. And so here's case in point. If you're looking for jobs, we focus on Agile within 500 miles of Charlotte. There weren't a lot of jobs out here. So, I mean, you may draw a light, but if you happen to find one, you can apply with your Facebook profile. And it's interesting when you look at the top 33 job search sites to use, Facebook did not make that list. So you can read the stats about how many companies are recruiting on Facebook and those kind of things. Actual results may differ. Twitter. So same thing as files like LinkedIn and Facebook. You can use Twitter's job research tool, follow the industry you're interested in, and participate in communities you care about. Same concept as Facebook or LinkedIn, just don't retweet what others are saying. Meaningful content that help build your personal brand. A lot of companies similar to Facebook have Twitter job-related handles. We'll talk about those in a second. And Twitter for me is still, I'm not overly professional. It's like a hybrid. I'm half professional, half personal on Twitter. And once again, Twitter did not make the list of the top 33 job search. So you can use it. I know people who their friends did a Twitter campaign for them. They got hired via Twitter. So it is possible. Just think about where you spend your time. But you can see like AT&T Jobs talks about our leadership development program participants. Scholastic is posting jobs for managing editor. Life at Deloitte's talking about what's like to work there. So similar to Facebook, there are a lot of companies out there using Twitter to hire, recruit, and try to get you to come in. These are some of the accounts that are used on Twitter, just a handful, but you can see a lot of these are career pages out there on Twitter. You can use Twitter to get icebreaker topics. What I think is great is if I'm going to set up an interview with somebody or an informational interview, I'll Google them, right? I'll see what I can find about him, social media and stuff like that. And so if I was going to meet with Phil and go to his Twitter profile, I can see, he's Christian, he's a Farley father. He's a Farley. No, he's not a Farley. He's not Chris Farley, but he's a Christian. He's Father Harley. No, he's not Father Harley. He's Father and he's a Harley writer anyways. So he's a project manager, Cubs fan. So you can see some of the interest he has. Just be careful how you introduce those, because even though a lot of people have public profiles on social media, they still get kind of freaked out if you find out they've been searched out before the meeting. But great icebreaker topics. And some of the other interesting topics about social media. You can use Instagram. So PMI.org is on Instagram. I need to update the slide because it's got our really old logo out there, but we're on Instagram. We're got close to 1,200 followers on Instagram right now. So it's a great way also to find out about your profession, what's happening. Similar to Facebook and Twitter, a lot of companies have career pages out there and are posting jobs, posting things about their culture as well. Tech Careers, General Electric, same kind of stuff. And a lot of people may not think about Pinterest for the job search, but Taco Bell had one of the most effective recruiting campaigns on Pinterest. and it's no longer out there, but you will find other boards out there for jobs, job tips, whether it be cover letters, resumes, everything else, if that's your social media platform of choice. Also, if you want to know about project management, you can do Pinterest for finding out templates and other tips for on how to do project management for a career or accounting, whatever you want. Every social media site out there has something on it, right? So, which brings us to this last one on TikTok. This is new for tonight. That's how we're doing on time. Okay. Nearly 50%, I found this stat really interesting. 50% of adults between 18 and 29 have a TikTok account, while only 30% are on LinkedIn. So TikTok earlier this year in March actually started building out TikTok resume, and they're doing a select pilot with a few major corporations. They're working on the pilot now. It's not open right now, but users will be able to submit their video resumes. And this was a headline from HRD, a human resource thing called The Blog. Could TikTok be the future of recruitment? So you can do hashtag TikTok resumes, and when you get the deck, you can actually watch this guy's video. There's a lot of job search tips out there, and people posting about job search cover letters and such. I found out my daughter actually got her cover letter template from TikTok. And yes, certain companies like Intuit are actually posting jobs on TikTok, and it's just a really interesting way to do it. So if you are bored tonight, look at TikTok and go from there.
Christian, and my entrepreneurial spirit led me to creating my own major at Berkeley.
Sorry, first time embedding the videos in tonight. So
engineer in the
there we go. So without those boo-foos, I think we're ready for the breakout rooms.
All right, guys. So as I am getting these breakout rooms ready, I want you guys to look very closely at breakout room, discuss what your personal brand is and how to set yourself apart from the 45,000 other project managers, and select one person in the group to share their personal brand. So as always with the breakout rooms, guys, we send you away. I zoom you out into breakout rooms. You have a networking discussion in there for about 5 minutes. And then we bring you back to the overall group. And as Rich has so nicely put on here, because he's a part of our volunteer family, we do want one person from each group to come back and share with everyone else so that we can have a collective understanding of what the different conversations are, and provides a little bit of kind of one-on-one personal interaction with you guys, which we do miss. So I'm going to go ahead and open the rooms now and send you guys out to them. And then in 5 minutes, we'll bring you back in, and please stick around. Remember, we are not done here until 7. We have a breakout room discussion. And then we also have updates. As Rich alluded to earlier, it was good foreshadowing, Rich. We've got some job postings that we want to share with you guys, as well as PDD, our professional development day, and a couple of other things coming up after. So stick around after the breakout rooms.
And if we have time, we can do a Q&A, because I know we do that. So
yeah, absolutely. So remember, discuss your personal brand and how to set yourself apart from the 45,000 other project managers.
So Amy, I'm going to ask you if you want to talk about what you put into like your profile on LinkedIn or something like that to sort of mark your brand, if you don't mind. You're looking for your unmute.
There, thank you. Sorry, I have 3 screens. So yeah, so just real quick, I like I said, I've listened to Rich's speech many, many times. I always recommend everybody comes to it when he's doing it. And I mentor veterans who are looking, and spouses, so who are coming into this process looking at project management. So I was looking, because I'm a little later in life. I mean, I'm not old, but I'm not young. So I was looking for a different approach, not the banks, not the suit and tie. So I took a different approach, and I tried to use a more casual photo, some more casual language. And all my posts are mainly veteran centric and centric to project management, so that I could kind of find something that had more of a life balance that I was looking for. So I switched gears on kind of my approach to my profile. And I think it helped a lot. It works. I'm a maven dog now. Woo, woo. I don't know if John's on, but.
I didn't see John on tonight, but I do enjoy John very much, especially when he comes to present. If you guys don't know, John Vordemark from Maven Dog, you can find him in multiple posts from PMI Metrolina because he does speak for us, and you can find him on LinkedIn. And he runs a recruiting business here in Charlotte. So John Vordemark is great.
Yeah, consulting, project management. Oops. Sorry.
And as we talk about networking, we're going to share some of the jobs available at Maven Dog. So now if you want a connection at Maven Dog, you got Amy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll tell you, networking was key because I actually heard him speak a few years ago and I sought him out and talked to him a few times. And then eventually, we became partners in crime. So it's a skill. I'm still working on it.
It is, absolutely. And so I would like to go into some Q&A. Thank you guys, everyone, for sharing and for participating in our breakout rooms. It's always fun because we get such different perspectives from each of the rooms, and each room a lot of times goes in just a slightly different area. And so it's really lovely to hear you guys come back and share with us what you talked about, because I always learn something. So thank you guys for that. But for Q&A, does anybody have any questions for Rich based on the presentation? And I'm going to go ahead. I know I sent out the link earlier. I'm going to put it out there again, a link to some documentation that condenses a little bit of what Rich has been speaking about tonight. Rich, I don't know if you want to go over the career management badge document.
I got a question for Rich.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike, anybody but you.
Thanks, Rich. Nice talking to you. Hey, Rich, are any of these resume, how they're trying to hustle, $500 for your resume. Are any of them worth it to have them review your resume, or are they just a hustle?
Hustle such I won't say hustle. I mean, I think they can serve a purpose. I mean, part of the benefit for me was when I hired that company, I did not have a master resume or career management document. So they walked me through the process of that to help customize my resume. So that was very beneficial for me, and I built on it after that. Most professionals will say nobody knows your experience and yourself like you do. And as long as you get the formatting down, you're the best person to write your own resume. I mean, there's lots of templates out there. I'm actually taking a class on how to do job search right now to get ready for my next presentation. And he has a different format resume, which I thought was kind of interesting. So if you're interested in that one, I can share it out later. But I just, most people I've talked to, if you can write your own resume, I think you'd be better off than hiring somebody else for it.
Okay,
it did not give me, I mean, my confidence I had because you usually ask 5 different people about opinions on your resume, you get 5 different opinions. And it was that insecurity which was driving me to have it professionally done. So I had a false sense of confidence when I got done. Only had my first recruiter say, yeah, your resume stinks.
Thanks.
And Rich, there's a question in the chat. What is your opinion of Glassdoor?
Glassdoor is, Glassdoor is like the internet, right? You can find opinions to support whatever you want. So, I mean, Glassdoor is a potentially nice site for finding things out about companies and potential salaries and stuff like that. So I definitely use it. I just take it with a grain of salt of how much I can put in there, because it's kind of like reading some reviews on websites as well. If people are really happy, they may not be posting, but if people are really crabby, they're going to be posting. So take it with a grain of salt. I just, I do use it. I just don't put a lot of blind faith into it.
Any other questions, guys? Oh, Ashley. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I just wanted to know, in terms of privacy, I know you touched on it briefly. I'm an individual that really likes and respects my privacy, and I understand social media has, kind of a different, you're building those connections, and, some of that privacy is kind of a gray line. Do you have any recommendations for those that still want to kind of maintain their privacy but build their network?
Yeah, so especially I worked in information security, so a lot of people are information security don't necessarily want to put their company out there right now because they don't want to be attacked and those kind of things. So LinkedIn, you can kind of disguise your information a little bit, and rather than saying your first full name and last name, maybe put like your first name and your first initial of your last name. Also with your, your employer, you can put like I don't know if Lincoln allows it, but it used to be like a major financial services company versus actually the company you're working for. So if you can try to make it generic as possible, you can do that to protect your privacy. The downside is you'd probably be leaning more towards a warm networking scenario because you probably have to do personal introductions, because if people don't know who you are and who you're working for, they may be less inclined to connect with you. But it is a possibility to do it that way as well.
Thank you. I was just curious.
Good question.
And I know a lot of people too have 2 accounts.
On LinkedIn?
Either on LinkedIn or on Facebook or on, Instagram. They might have 2 accounts, one that is totally not related to their name at all and could be then, everything that they do on totally separate from something that is a little bit more professional.
Yeah, I totally get that for non-LinkedIn accounts, but LinkedIn, if you're going to build your network, it's kind of, I'm not sure why you'd have 2 accounts on LinkedIn, but people have asked me about that before. Can I get 2 profiles? I'm like, you could, I'm just not really sure why you'd want to, so, but definitely Facebook and Instagram. I've seen people do that as well. So yeah.
Yeah, LinkedIn.
How do you keep one from bleeding over into the other? If somebody does a search and they got sort of a clue, I mean, isn't that kind of setting yourself up for a failure there?
It depends on what you want to use social media for, right? So I have some friends who do not use their real names on any social media accounts, and the only way you know it's them, they don't post a lot of pictures. I mean, it's really like on Facebook, they're going to post text, but they don't post any pictures of the family, stuff like that. And the only way you know it's them is they're saying, hey, guess what? I'm on Facebook now. My name is John Doe, so it depends on how far you want to take it. And same thing with like Twitter and Instagram. You can also make your profiles private so nobody else can see them except for people you want to see them.
I feel like now I have to research TikTok too. I told Rich before the meeting, we were talking a few minutes before the meeting, and I'm like, I have avoided TikTok like the plague. And my kids, like they're in their 20s, they're all about it. They're like, oh yeah, I saw this on TikTok. And I'm like, yeah, I don't even know. I'm old enough now.
my kids were kind of shocked when I think I had the first TikTok account in the family, where they were kind of concerned, like, what are you doing on TikTok, Dad? Where all the cool people are.
Yeah, I'm going to be very concerned if resumes start to go into TikTok videos. And Snapchat. Yep, I have avoided Snapchat too.
But Snapchat's got the best filters.
I don't.
It's kind of like growing up, right? I mean, we grew up with phone calls, voicemail. Then it was like email. And then my kids went to college and they weren't checking their emails and text messages. So the only way to contact them was via Snapchat, because they always replied to Snapchat, so yeah.
Times are changing. I'm getting just old enough where I'm like, TikTok, what? All right. Thank you, guys. We are going to go into the last few minutes of our meeting today. And I'm going to hand it over to Cindy to share and run through the rest of our deck. And remember, stick around for our poll at the end.
Thanks, everybody. I hope you can see my screen now. Please let me know if you are not able to. So we're going to start out with our volunteer of the month, and I'm going to turn it over to Amy at this point to let her speak a little bit about the person that we're recognizing this month. So Amy, do you mind taking it away? She's still with us?
She's getting off mute.
Okay, perfect.
I think I can unmute you, Amy.
There.
You got it.
Okay, goodness. Yeah, it was the way it was showing the screen this time. It wouldn't let me find my mute button. Yes. So I am the director for military outreach, and I would like to recognize Kent Trantner. And I don't think Kent's on tonight. I didn't see him, but he has been on our team. He's one of the longest standing members of our team. So our team does outreach to the community, and we do it based on the bandwidth that we have. And so we set some objectives and we project manage our way through it as best we can. So right now, mainly what we do and what Kent is doing the most of, and he's doing it very well, based on his military experience, because he's a naval officer, 22 years, a retired Navy commander. He went to the Navy War College. He went to the Naval Academy, obviously, and later to the War College. He is located near the Marine Corps community, so Camp Lejeune and Jacksonville, North Carolina. So we really have teamed up with the O20 officer. O20 Onward to Opportunity program, which is a program for military folks who are transitioning out or veterans. I think you have to be within 18 months. They partner on facilities like Fayetteville, Fort Bragg, and Camp Lejeune, Jacksonville, up there near the Naval Academy or Naval Base, Norfolk, all over the country. And so what we did is we partnered with them to help these guys get through the application process, because you know how hard that is, and then mentor them on studying and try to help make sure they find a program if O20 doesn't work for them, or because that's how they get their 35 hours and all their training. So we work with them, and Kent has just done an incredible job. He has always been supportive. He does this mentoring personally. 9 folks, I think, last year, 45 folks. I mean, the amount of engagement these guys do, 85 new mentees over the time that he's been a mentor. Maybe that was even last year. I have to look at my numbers. Yeah, that was just last year. 85 new mentee contacts were made, supporting 45 existing folks from previous years, 61 new folks. And in the end, 9 folks got certified. So there's a big attrition rate, as you guys all know. So we're here for them over the long term. And Kent's just been a wonderful asset to our team. So I thank him.
Thank you, Amy, for the recognition and providing us all with that update. I wish he could have been here tonight to hear it. Hopefully he'll hear the recording.
Yeah.
So we have a lot coming up. As you all know, we're just in the middle of the month. It's hard to believe we're in the middle right now, but there's still some meetings to come. So please take a look at your calendar for the remainder of this week. We have a meeting on the 19th and also one on the 24th that you can still sign up for to be a part of.
And really, really quick, Cindy, the meeting on Thursday, the 19th, normally that meeting starts at 6, but if you'll notice they're highlighted in purple, those are the meetings in the month that start at 5:30. So we have increased the time for the meeting on Thursday. We've also increased the PDUs associated with that meeting to accommodate the additional time. But because we had 2 speakers and just a jam-packed agenda, they needed to extend that meeting to 5:30. So I just wanted to call that one out. If you're planning on attending Thursday, plan to get there a little bit earlier than normal. Normally that meeting starts at 6. Thanks, Cindy.
No, thanks, Dana. Good call out. You definitely don't want to miss 30 minutes of a meeting. So please arrive for that one on time. And even more exciting, coming up next month, we have our Professional Development Day. So if you haven't registered for this already, please put this on your calendars. And I don't know if there's anything you want to speak to specifically about some of our speakers. I don't have a lot of background knowledge here, but I know we always have the high quality information provided in 10 PDUs. Any other comments you'd like to add?
Yeah, and those are just our 2 highlighted speakers. There's a number of other speakers and a number of other sessions. Guys, as always, if you've attended our Professional Development Day previously, each session is potentially an hour and a half long. So there's a lot of other speakers. If Bonnie and Asia don't intrigue you, then there's a number of other ones that are going to be there. Please also note that early bird pricing ends soon. It ends this week. And we also have our discounts for military and members. So please go and check out on the calendar our PDD, Professional Development Day, coming up on September 24th. And I do believe too that these sessions will be recorded. So again, you have to sign up to get those recordings afterwards so you can watch them after as well. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you. I appreciate the update. Want to make sure we got all the information for everyone out there. And of course, we want to give our membership updates. So we currently have 2,404 members, and you can see our communities. You're very familiar with these as we've been online. I know I've visited a lot. I'm sure you have as well. And we have our newest members, and I know this is very small font, so hopefully you all can see, but we want to welcome all the folks who have joined us in the past month since our last meeting. We also have new credentials holders, and you can see a lot of folks here have got their PMP, some folks with the ACP and also CAPM. So a lot of certification going on during this month, even though we are in the summer. Additionally, a last update, and I think Rich, you had alluded to this a little bit earlier, so I'll hand it over to you to talk a little bit more about the PMI job opportunities, if you don't mind speaking quickly to this.
Absolutely. This is I won't say it's a new section, but it's newly used section of our website that we're actually getting, as the economy heats up a bit, more and more companies are looking for project managers. And so this is a great resource, not only to look for an opportunity, but as we talk about networking, if you see somebody out here and you can help like a company find a job or help somebody find a job, that's a great networking opportunity. Also, if you are employed and your company is looking to hire project managers, some companies only have a limited number of postings they can do on the paid sites like Career Builder or LinkedIn. So this is a great way to post those jobs here. It's all for free. And we're going to start featuring some of this in our newsletter as well to get the word out. But, and as was said earlier, John from Maven Dog is a great guy. He's been a partner with our chapter for many, many years. So just if you get a chance, look out there, job opportunities. If you do post a job for your position, please email me at the VP of Marketing. You can get the email off our website, so I know it's out there. I try to approve them on a weekly basis, but like John is emailing me today, so he just let me know every time he put it out there, and I approved it right away. So.
No, thank you. A great resource, one that I have not used, but a good opportunity for folks to network and share with others, as well as find positions for themselves. Last but not least, we need you to complete our meeting poll, so we'll know your thoughts on our meeting today. So please click on the Survey Monkey. I don't know if someone can put that in the chat for us. That would be great. If not, I'll do that myself. But we want to make sure that everybody gives us feedback on our meeting this evening. That's how we improve, is to learn your thoughts. So I'll leave that up on the screen for just a couple of minutes if folks want to scan it.
Yep, and I need to put a note on here for next month. Please remember, if you have, there's one, I think it's question 7 with a free text field. If you have something that you need us to contact you about, including if you would like to volunteer with us here at PMI Metrolina, please include your name, because this is an anonymous survey. So every now and again, we get somebody that says, hey, can you contact me about this? But I don't know who to contact. So if you would please put your name in, if you would like us to contact you. We would love to contact you about anything that you would like to see us doing for programs or our other sections of PMI Metrolina. As you know, Amy spoke on our military outreach program. We've got Riches from marketing. You know, we've got a lot of things to offer here in PMI Metrolina, not just our programs. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Anna. I'll flip it. I think that's the last of our slides. So just remember, we have a lot of opportunities to connect through social media. We talked a little bit about that tonight. So here are some of the ones for our chapter for PMI. Just take a look at those and please add those to your profile. Thanks, and I'll turn it back over to Anna for any closing remarks.
That is it. Rich, we were afraid that you were going to go over because you had so much content to deliver, but we didn't go over tonight, guys. So we will give you just a couple minutes back. But as a reminder, you will get an email in a couple of days that will contain the link to the YouTube recording of this meeting. So if you feel like you missed out because there was so much jam-packed information, you will get a link to the recording. And we can also send out the slide deck at that time. Although, really quickly, I think, Rich, you had the QR code that went to your slide deck, right?
Yep.
If we can share that for the last minute or two here, that would be great.
It should be, if you go up in your deck, it should be the same one.
Yep. So Cindy, if you go up to the very first slide of Rich's presentation, that has a QR code, similar to our Survey Monkey, I think slide number 7.
7, okay. I couldn't remember from earlier. There we go.
Yep, there we go. That orange circle down there is a QR code. So guys, if you don't normally do it for Survey Monkey, our survey at the end, then you can take a picture with your phone, and that should take you straight to the link. And Rich said that is the updated slide deck. So every time he updates it, you get the update there on that link.
It's perfect because new social media content comes available all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll leave that up there for just a minute, guys. But thank you so much, everyone. Feel free to drop off just a few minutes early and have a great evening. We will see you back here, if not at our next meeting on Thursday, at our regional next meeting, which will be next month, the third Tuesday of the month, again at 5:30. We'll have JJ DiGeronimo. We're putting her information up in the next couple of days, so you'll be able to register to that event here in just a day or two. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks.